without your love, girl, there's no more. Tell me what you're playing. Oh, and I know you don't want nobody else. No, no, no.
What's going on, y'all? It's your main man 5, and I'm back with another banger for y'all. So first and foremost, shout out to the Skinner brothers. We've been having a little bit of conversation back and forth, but they were really just saying how much they appreciated the reaction that I did a little while back when I checked out their collaboration EP that they did with Ren. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about how that video went. Make sure y'all go watch that one if you want to get more context on how we ended up here. But when I was having a little bit of conversation back and forth with them, they were telling me how they were releasing a new music video. And if you read the title, you know today we're reacting to a new song and music video called Pie and Mash. Now, from what I've heard of them, and even just through collaboration, I love the fact that they focus on making such emotionally evocative music. Stuff that's vulnerable and really just willing to explain what it's like to express the emotional plight of what it feels like to be young, what it feels like to be an outcast, or what it feels like to deal with mental health and want to be around like-minded people. I really enjoyed those themes, but that makes me excited to dig into a little bit more of their personal music and see if that's a general direction that they focus on, or if it was just something that they collaborated and created with him, and their music personally sounds completely different. But they told me that they would like for me to check it out, so I said, let's do it. Once again, I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to continuing to cultivate that relationship. And who knows, we may have some surprises coming in the future, but we'll talk about that when the time comes. But without further ado, let's get right into this reaction and see what's going on.
I said, know your fucking place from me. I'm a lion in a sheepskin, see. Up your hella back, you know that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's boom. I've been lower than a man should go. Been higher than a Grateful Dead. I'm a chill guy, but don't test me. Yeah, I'm a chill guy till you get boom. When we come around, don't suffer fools gladly, I don't do climbs. They say we sound like London time. Double with that rude boy on my way. Higher mash, push up my lighter. Everyday soldier, I'm not any fighter. Pull it back and get the big boy sniper. It's a way of life, something that we didn't decide. Going some more.
You certainly didn't think you were going to live forever. And Roger Daltrey says, I hope I die before I get old. Well, you know, I'm going to die, so fuck it. Might as well enjoy myself while I'm fucking here.
They try to tell me things about me, but nobody don't really know me. Them fucking rats see me breaking out the mold. Only way to start me is a bullet to the soul. I've been lower than a man should go. Been higher than a Grateful Dead.
Yeah, we put about 800 hits of acid in the frosting.
When we come around, don't suffer fools gladly, I don't do climbs. They say we sound like London time. Double with that rude boy on my way. Higher mash, push up my lighter. Everyday soldier, I'm not any fighter. Pull it back and get the big boy sniper. It's a way of life, something that we didn't decide. Going some more.
Certainly didn't think you were going to live forever. You certainly didn't think you were going to live forever.
When we come around, don't suffer fools gladly, I don't do climbs. They say we sound like London time. Double with that rude boy on my way. Higher mash, push up my lights
Might as well enjoy myself while I'm fucking here.
That shit hard. That's hard. That's a good sign that Cole showed up right after y'all. That's a good sign. But no, see, that shit was hard. I'm gonna tell you why. So once again, shout out to the Skinner brothers for reaching out and, you know, enjoying the reaction that I did and enjoying the way that I broke down some of their stuff. What makes music like that very special is, first off, it answered my question when I said I wonder if the music that they make speaks so much and so loudly to the ideals of what happened on the collaborative project that they made with Ren. And it does. And I think what makes it so cool is that I'm trying to find the right place to start on it because I got a lot of thoughts. I love the fact that it speaks from the perspective of knowing what it's like to suffer through life, knowing what it's like to experience the ups and downs in the cycle, going through certain storms and learning to make it through them, but also speaking from a place of resistance against the depression. Even though, and that's something that I talk about, I like the fact that the instrumentation that they show inside of the song lends itself to the lyrics. It's not something where it's really just two separate thoughts that get thought of one after the other. It's something that was implemented together to create one cohesive thought, one cohesive feeling, and one cohesive message of expression, because the instrumentation and the way that they were playing the music already gave, like, if you were watching a scene in a movie where somebody, I'm gonna paint a movie scene for you. You have a situation where you got a high school age girl, right? She has an abusive father, like he beats up the mother and the daughter. They get into it real bad. The daughter sneaks out the window after dark, after her father drinks himself to sleep, and then she sneaks off to a party. Now, dealing with all of the emotional turmoil and dealing with all of the emotions that she's feeling inside, also feeling the emotions of resentment for her mother for not having the strength to be able to leave the situation that's harming her and her child. She goes out and immerses herself into a world of trying to distract herself from the emotions. You get what I'm saying? The music feels like when a girl goes into a party and she's taking drugs and the lights and all of it is spinning around so fast and she's just trying to escape that sense of loneliness, escape that feeling of pain, escape the monotony of the situation. That's what the instrumentation feels like. It feels like avoidance. It feels like avoidance mixed in with trying to live a life too fast and trying to hide and mask yourself from all of the stuff that you're actually dealing with. That's one. But when you get into the lyrics too, I like the fact that it really talks about making it out of those storms, but when you get past them, embracing the fact that you don't want to get stuck because you're all too familiar with that feeling. I like when they use the line of saying, like, I'm a soldier against monotony. Well, you don't want to get caught up in that same cycle, because getting caught up in too routine of a lifestyle, and that doesn't mean like having a sense of consistency or having a sense of monotony that leads to positivity. Monotony leads to people feeling bored in their lives, or feeling like they're not living out their purpose, or feeling like they're not chasing their goals and living to the point of what they should be doing, because they're just focusing on trying to survive day to day. So I like the fact that it uses that metaphor to say that I'm fighting against feeling stuck. I'm fighting against getting stuck inside the rat wheel and continuing to run in circles and not truly going out there and breaking through the mold, going out there to create the life that I actually want to have. I like that it's talking so much about, I like how it's talking about how a lot of times people get so caught up in feeling like just because they experience you that they know who you are, that they understand you. But a lot of times, and realistically speaking, people only know what you allow them to know. People only get to know the version of you that you choose to present to the general public. But you get those situations where just because you're laid back, and somebody like me who's dealt with my own share of mental health, I think if you've ever actually truly been through it, you try to keep an even-keeled attitude, because you don't want to, first of all, go back to that place where it feels so lonely and you have issue truly engaging and connecting with people outside of your own mind. But also, I do it so I don't snap on somebody. But also, if you've ever truly been through it, you don't want to put somebody in an emotional state as a result of my uncontrolled emotions to make you feel as low as I have. So just because I'm chill doesn't mean that you should fuck with me, because I'm still a lion inside a sheep's skin. I like that they use a lot of metaphors to paint the fact of, I have emotional damage and I might have a little bit of unresolved issues based on the things that I've been through, because everybody's been through their fair share of tests and storms in life. That's just what life is all about. But I like the fact that it's talking about I'm going to live my life to the fullest, because that's the only way to make it out of those dark days. You get caught in those spaces because you don't feel like your life is fulfilling. You don't feel like you're living out your purpose, or you don't feel like your life adds value to the bigger picture of the world. But going out there and giving it everything that you have, moving without fear and focusing on doing the things you love, like creating music or making film or making content, whatever your passion project is, those moments where you get to do that and truly express who you are as a person, that's the most free that anybody can ever feel in life. That's the most fulfilling that anybody can ever fulfill in this lifetime. So I like that they're painting that narrative with it. And I resonate a lot with it because it's experimental in that way. The messaging doesn't directly match the music. And I feel like that's something that I try to do in my own personal music as well. I like to tell stories. I like to paint pictures of circumstance, talk about mental health, tell stories through the eyes of other people. But I also like to blend and mix genres, because you can get your message in completely different fonts. As long as you focus on the creative aspect of meshing it together and making it a cohesive thought, you can get stuff like this. So this was really dope. And once again, I appreciate y'all, and I'm glad that y'all enjoy my takes on music enough to actually want to hear my perspective on it. So again, shout out to you guys. And, like I said, when that time comes, it's going to come. They know what I'm talking about. But if you enjoyed this reaction, and if you're a fan of the Skinner Brothers, even if you just got to know them through watching Ren, and as a byproduct, you started listening to them, these guys are fucking dope too. So make sure you show them some love. And if you enjoyed this reaction, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on that post notification bell so you stay in tune every time we drop another banger like this one. And again, I haven't mentioned this in a while. As you know, I like to always use this platform as a way to pay it forward. In the last maybe year and a half, you guys, of us doing this, first of all, we haven't been doing this too long, but because of you guys, we've been able to grow exponentially, and we want to be able to pay it back to you guys. A lot of the people we see in the comments, you're so encouraging to us, but I also see a lot of you are artists, you're poets, you're authors. So as you know, we like to use a platform as a basis to be able to help you guys get out in front of more eyes. As you know, we keep our description in the email box down below. If you enjoy the way that we review art on this channel, whether you make film, whether you write poetry, whether you make music, whatever it is that you do, if you will want your art reviewed on this channel, make sure you email me in the email that we got down in the description box below, and let's figure out how we can pay it forward. I always like to leave that little small message of encouragement, because a lot of times when we're breaking down these stratospheric level talents that have become something bigger than life, you got to recognize that they all started off where we are. They all started off as an artist that's just trying to grind to get their name out there. So believe that you can be the first version of you, and you can have a just as even or even bigger impact of all of the artists that inspired you to create. So whatever you do, keep being creative, keep focusing, and keep fighting through the dark days. Because anybody who actually is an artist, anybody who's actually creative, knows that it's somewhat of a small heartbreak every time it doesn't happen. So I'm telling you, as a fellow artist to you, keep fighting and keep creating, because somebody out there is touched by your message. Somebody out there hears what you have to say, they resonate, and they take it internally. So know that everything that you do has purpose, and there's a lot of power in speaking. We all have a voice for a reason, so continue to bless other people with your talent. And make sure you reach out if it's something that you want to build on. But yeah, I'm going to put the QR code to our Patreon right here. As you know, recently we're pivoting to putting all of our album reactions onto our Patreon. You already know why, so I'm not going to reiterate. But shout out to all of our patrons for your continued support. You guys make it possible for us to continue doing things like this and continue building and making more creative content as we go. So if you want to be a part of that journey and get access to all of the bonus content that doesn't come to YouTube, that's the place for you to do it. But I'm done talking. I'm not going to keep. If you enjoyed this reaction, I go by the name of Five, and I catch you on the next one. Peace.
How does this go? You wanna know? You've never been here before. Go with the flow. We'll take it slow. No need to rush.